Hi, I'm Nicky Bleiel, Dr. Help's lead information developer. Welcome to Technical Writing 101, a quick but comprehensive introduction to technical writing. Today I'll discuss how to get your project started, how to approach the blank page. Please see other videos in this series for an introduction to technical writing and other tactical how-tos. Just so you know who I am, I have over 18 years of experience as a technical communicator in a variety of industries, and I'm currently the Vice President of the Society for Technical Communication. You can learn more about me on my website, nickybleiel.com. Here's what we'll cover today: outlining, how to do a card sort and why you'd like to do one, best writing practices from journalism, active versus passive voice, tips for editing, using the KISS principle when writing, and there's a list of useful resources at the end. Don't let the blank page intimidate you. Start out by getting the main points you need to cover written down. If you wait for the perfect first paragraph, you'll never get started. Often the first paragraph is easy to write once you have your information organized. There is no set way to do this. If you need to collaborate with other team members, wikis and Google Docs are efficient options. If your company has a SharePoint site, Excel spreadsheets or Word documents can be shared there also. Or use Dropbox or something similar. But don't get hung up on the method, just get the information down. Your outline should include categories of information you want to cover. These are usually referred to as topics. For example, how to apply for a loan. Conceptual background information can also be included in your outline, things like what is compound interest. Once you have gathered the information you need to cover, you could organize it using a card sort. First group topics into categories, then put them in the proper order. This method is often used when designing websites, but it works well when you need to organize information logically. Start out by putting each topic on an index card, then sort the cards into logical groups. Use blank cards to give each group a logical name. If you have too many topics for a card sort, I suggest keeping everything in an Excel spreadsheet, make a different tab for each bucket of information, and do your sort. Rename the tabs at the end. You can always create new tabs if needed. Now let's talk about writing a bit. Let's start with some best practices from journalism. When using the inverted pyramid method, you put the most important facts first with the others following in descending order. This gives readers the most pertinent information before they lose interest, and also makes it possible to easily cut the text from the bottom up. This is an excellent way to write documentation that could serve the majority of users immediately and everyone else over time. The 5 W's and an H are who, what, why, where, when, and how. All of these questions could be answered from a tech writing perspective. For example, what task are we trying to accomplish? Who can make that happen? And how do you make that happen? Bearing the lead is putting secondary information at the beginning of a piece. When writing, identify what is most important, the lead. It will help guide your writing as well as provide users with information they are searching for right from the start. Now let's talk about active versus passive voice. As a general rule, active voice is preferred in technical writing, but using passive voice isn't necessarily wrong. Let's discuss. I'll start with active voice because it's simpler. In an active sentence, the subject is doing the action. For example, Steve loves Amy. Steve is the subject doing the action. He loves Amy, the object of the sentence. Another example is the Marvin Gaye song, I Heard It Through the Grapevine. I is the subject doing the action. It is the object of the sentence. In passive voice, the target of the action gets promoted to the subject position. Instead of saying Steve loves Amy, you would say Amy is loved by Steve. The subject of the sentence becomes Amy, but she isn't doing anything. Rather, she is just the recipient of Steve's love. The focus of the sentence is changed from Steve to Amy. The passive version of I heard it through the grapevine would be, it was heard by me through the grapevine. Not such a catchy title anymore. Remember, passive voice is never wrong, active voice is just clearer, which is what good technical writing should be. On occasion, passive voice is necessary. For example, when it doesn't matter who took the action in the sentence, and actually adding that information would make the sentence more awkward. The sentence, the honeybees were kept in a humidified chamber at room temperature overnight, is a good example. A few quick tips about editing. First of all, remember that commas save lives. Let's eat grandpa versus let's eat grandpa. which is from the Grammar Geek book, Eat, Shoots, and Leaves. Your best bet is to create an editing checklist and work through it. If you have questions about grammar and style, check a grammar reference like the Gregg Reference Manual or a style guide like the Microsoft Manual of Style. But editing is not all about grammar. You also need to check that references are correct. For example, if you refer readers to a sample or an exercise, make sure that the samples and exercises are included. You should also check for consistent terminology and punctuation of that terminology. If you have an index, make sure there are no stray terms and punctuation is correct. Same for your glossary. When writing instructions about almost anything, you are writing tasks. To write tasks clearly, break them into logical steps, number the steps, use graphics if that will make the information clearer, avoid unnecessary facts. There's always information you can include that is interesting but not necessary. If you need to include cautions or warnings, make them noticeable. Lastly, I need to mention that the KISS principle applies in writing as it does in so many other areas of life. Your writing will be clearer if you leave out unnecessary details, eliminate excess words, and explain only one way to perform a task, preferably the easiest way. Here are a few useful resources you could check out when you have time. The Yahoo Style Guide, Grammar Girl, the Microsoft Manual of Style, and the Gregg Reference Manual are great reference materials. On Writing Well is an excellent book about the process of writing, and Technical Writing 101 is a solid introduction to tech writing. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining me for Technical Writing 101. I hope you'll check out the other videos in this series to learn more about technical writing. If you'd like to learn more about how Doc2Help makes it easy to create multiple outputs, including mobile manuals and EPUB, from a single set of files, go to doc2help.com and download a free trial. I'm Nicky Bleiel of Component One. Thank you for watching.